Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. My name is Justin Pennick, and today I am not joined by Bobby Skinner because he just got married on Sunday. It was a beautiful ceremony, and I have two people here that were at said Bobby Skinner wedding. I have the football grump and dead weatherman Danny King is back. He has made his return to Talking Giants. What we are going to do today, we're going to talk about how the Giants hired a new running back coach, the fourth one in four years. We're going to talk about the Giants' biggest positions of need, and then at the end, we'll wrap up with some Matthew Stafford updates, and we'll give Bobby Skinner wedding updates too and how the wedding went. Danny King, you pull up to me in Orlando with a blue Tesla, and then I knew from there that it was going to be a great weekend. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good. I'm good. It's been a long 12 hours since I last saw you, as we made our drive to Orlando Airport. It's good.
I know, I already miss you.
Fun weekend. It's fun seeing everyone Grum crank, their significant others. It was a good weekend all around. You can't complain. Can't complain.
Blue Tesla was awesome. The football
It
grump, how
was.
are you?
I'm good. I'm tired. I think I'm the last one to get home from the three of us. I slept like crap last night, but mainly because we had a really good time. It was a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah, all right. I'm not used to this hosting thing.
What a
Usually-
transition right there.
All
Look
right.
at
Good.
Good.
Good. I'm glad you're tired. The Giants hired a running back coach. It is the last major positional coach that they needed to hire on their staff. The significant staff is basically complete now, and this is a familiar name. It should be somewhat familiar. It's Ladell Betts. Betts has been the running back coach for the University of Iowa since 2021. But odds are you know him from when he played in the NFL from 2002 to 2010 for the Washington Redskins at the time and the New Orleans Saints. Why the name sounds familiar if you're a Giants fan, it's because Week 2 versus Washington, the 2007 game, where the Giants were 0-2 and they're on the verge of going 0-3, but it's Kavika Mitchell and Justin Tuck that step up to trip the running back, Ladell Betts, who was the running back for Washington at the time. And how do you like that? That's a Giants connection. Now he is with the New York Football Giants and with Brian Daboll, the fourth running back coach in 4 years. Now you're wondering, is there maybe a little bit of a connection with Tyrone Tracy since he was at the University of Iowa? There was, but Tracy was a wide receiver for the Hawkeyes before transferring to Purdue and then switching the running back. Fellas, I would say the only thing that's maybe like significant about this is Daboll is leaning a little bit into the Kirk Ferentz coaching tree. He's the head coach of the University of Iowa because you have the Iowa's coach's son, James Ferentz, who's the assistant offensive line coach, Stephen Ferentz, who's a defensive assistant. They're already on the staff, so this is the third Iowa previous coach that is now on the Giants coaching staff. Clearly, Brian Daboll likes that tree. Ladell Betts, how do you like it?
I think the connection to the Giants connection is really, really interesting. I also think that the coaching tree thing is pretty interesting. I'm gonna kind of research this Iowa head coach like a little bit more. I don't know anything about him. I don't know anything about this running back coach. But I mean, I know Iowa's got a pretty good running game traditionally. So
It's going to be the best positional coach ever.
That's what I was thinking because they're 24th in the country. So that must mean Iowa is the greatest football team since sliced bread. I mean, the only thing, like you said, like as long as we see continued growth from Tyrone Tracy, I would love that. That would be a dream scenario to get where we drafted Tracy and for him to turn into a pretty solid running back. And I mean, I don't know. It's just like was Brian Dable looking in the pro ranks and just no one was willing to make that jump to a regime that might be gone within a year from now. So that's why he dug into the college ranks again because they're always willing to risk it for the biscuit. I don't know, but like you said, Iowa has traditionally been more of a running team, and they seemed to be pretty good last year, at least stat-wise, from what I saw on NCAA.com.
Yeah, he's been there since 2021. There's never you know the drill of what we do on Talking Giants whenever the positional coaches happen. There's usually not a lot on them. I mean, I would just say for the Giants, just the most significant thing is that Joel Thomas left for the Saints running back coach. He took that lateral role. This is the fourth running back coach in the last 4 years. Not going to lie, I kind of want it to be a thing where we just have a new running back coach every year. I think that's something that's funny, cool. I wonder what the NFL record is for most consecutive years of having to change a position coach every single year. I want that NFL record. I want it. I want to
Might
be in the
happen next
history
year.
books.
Might happen again next year.
It might happen again next year because everybody will probably be fired. So 5th running back coach in 5 years. Here we go. Ladell Betts, welcome to the Giants. Fellas, before we get into talking about the biggest position of needs for the team, we got to talk about Huel, and I actually want Chris Rose of Football Today to talk to you about that because I don't have the product, but he does, so he's going to talk to you about Huel. We'll be right back.
Hey, everybody, it's a fan of a 3-14 team interrupting two fans of a 3-14 team. Important announcement. It's time to take your nutrition to the next level. That's why I want to talk to you about today's sponsor, Huel. It is spelled Huel, the global complete nutritional brand with over 400 million meals sold. Their Black Edition, ready to drink, is a total game changer. It's a complete meal in a bottle, high in protein, low in sugar, packed with all the nutrients your body needs to feel and perform at its best. Listen, I am always on the move. In fact, I'm at the combine right now. Don't always have time to whip up a balanced meal, which is where Huel comes in handy. Huel is convenient. It tastes so good. Their shakes actually taste, hey, like milkshakes. They come in chocolate or vanilla. So join the community of Hueligans with this exclusive offer for brand new customers. 15% off plus a free gift with the code GIANTS at Huel.com. That's 15% plus a free gift for new customers. The code is GIANTS at Huel.com. Unlock a healthier, easier way to eat with Huel. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. See the description for terms and conditions. Boys?
All right, thank you to Chris Rose for talking about Huel. You'll be glad you did. Now, the main meat and potatoes of the episode, what I want to do today with you guys, I want to get your perspective on what the Giants' biggest positions of need are, and not just the biggest positions of need, like in listing them, but how would you attack those positions of need philosophically? Either it's through via free agency or via the draft, or hey, even if you have a trade candidate out there that the Giants should do, even throw that out there. I don't know. You tell me. You decide. The football grump, I want you to go first. In your opinion, what is the biggest positional need for the New York Football Giants this offseason that they have to address?
Outside of the quarterback position,
outside of the quarterback position, yes, that is a great thing to include because the Giants obviously need a quarterback, and we know that.
Yeah, so outside of the quarterback position, I am going to prioritize my offensive line through and through. I feel that they made really good strides in getting together a competent starting offensive line last year that I thought performed pretty well until injuries started to mount. But for me, there's a couple of spots that are wide open, and one of them's super right in your face, and there's no starting right guard. It's not the most complicated thing to fill. It doesn't have to be the most expensive thing. Greg Van Roten is perfectly fine if that's what you want to do for a 1-year thing, whatever. Building this offensive line is going to be a multi-step process, but right then and there, you have a hole there. It's right there in your starting lineup. So it doesn't have to be that complicated, but right guard for me is my first spot that I'm going to attack. Although it's, I don't know, not the hardest thing to figure out.
Danny, where do you have guard, interior offensive line, right guard specifically? Where does that make your top 5?
It does. I at the end of the day, I put it number 2. Like Rob said, you need a right guard. Obviously, I'm not gonna go crazy into that. The other thing I was also looking at is, in my mind, I think it seems like Andrew Thomas, we're gonna have to like mentally ingrain ourselves that Andrew Thomas will be injured at least for a chunk of the season. Maybe not chunk, but he'll be missing games here and there. I want to prioritize the backup tackle situation more importantly. I know you guys hammer that home all the time. If Evan Neal, they gotta he sucks. He's a bust. Either move on, cut bait, or you just gotta sign someone better that's more competent. And I know Jermaine Luminor was been a pretty healthy guy his career, but he got injured last year. I don't want to be in a scenario where both our left and right tackle are hurt, and then we have to rely on Evan Neal and calling up some practice squad guy, or they call Tyree Phillips again, because that is the rabbit hole they always go down. So off the line depth, like Grump said, they did a good job building it last year with Runyon and Illuminor, but there just still you need depth behind, especially Andrew Thomas, and then obviously a right guard. You quite literally need to fill that hole.
Yeah, I think depth is a great point, and I want to touch on that a little bit later. Now, Grump, you have right guard as number one, but you even view like going out and getting like not like a Greg Van Roten was basically almost like a vet minimum, but you think signing another guy to like a John Runyon type of contract that will do enough for you to walk into next year and be like, all right, I feel solid about this offensive line.
Well, no, no, not at all. But the Giants have holes all over the place. So I have interior offensive line for me is further down the list. It doesn't. It just falls behind other positions I think are a little bit more important. I think you can get by this year, possibly not addressing the depth at the interior, which just
But
moves
what
it
about
down.
the starter? What about the starter at right guard?
The starter at right guard's my number one priority because it's a whole. Oh yeah. As far as a John Runyon type contract,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah, yeah.
I'm kind of just
100%,
talking
that's
about like
fine.
philosophically. I don't know. I'm like we could talk like specific players, but free agency, I feel like that's such a crapshoot. It's like every fucking team wants Trey Smith. So, but I'm even talking like just philosophically, like what would you like the Giants to do like attack wise?
Yeah, I think that would be ideal. Is something like that. That's like a 2-year patch, that you just don't have to worry about. I don't want to say like set and forget, but that's kind of what you hope for. Like a guy on that contract should be somewhat set and forget. Like he's not going to be perfect. He'll have, lumps and bumps, but he'll be part of a functioning offensive line. You start him. The depth thing behind that, I think, in that scenario, you could potentially put off until next year. I hate putting anything off, but there are just other positions that I don't think you should put off.
Right.
But if you wind up doing, say that's not available, and you have to do the Greg Van Roten like 1-year vet minimum thing, then I think interior offensive line depth starts climbing up your priority tree.
Right.
Because I do value it. The whole offensive line as a unit is my number one priority, but in terms of the individual positions, it's a little scattered throughout the list.
I have interior offensive line and right guard as number 3. I have 2 defensive positions kind of ahead of it. Now, even though I have interior offensive line as number 3, that is one of 2 positions that I want the Giants to be big game hunting in free agency for. I want the Giants to walk out of this offseason signing a free agent that we feel better about than John Runyon. I want John Runyon to go into this year. Honestly, I think we view Illuminor as a better offensive lineman than Runyon, even though Runyon gets paid more. The Giants at Hard Knocks revealed that they had Illuminor higher on their player rankings than Runyon. I want to go in as Thomas, possibly Illuminor / the right guard as your second best offensive lineman. Runyon almost being the 4th, and then JMS being the 5th. That's how I would like to prioritize and order the offensive lineman. Even like Tevin Jenkins from Chicago's out there. Will Freeze from the Indianapolis Colts is another option, another younger option. And you see with the emerging guard market that was last year, and the Giants I think they got good value with Runyon and even good value with Illuminor, who at the time maybe could have played guard for them. I'm glad he didn't. But there was an exploding guard market, and I kind of want the Giants to be part of that and maybe even go big game hunting. And here's why. Philosophically, again, a lot of these guys that are being drafted somewhat early to play guard, specifically guard in the NFL, they are really struggling, man. I mean, Grump, Zion Johnson, Kenyon Green, 2 guys that we thought were slam dunks a couple years ago. They've played a lot in their NFL careers, and I think Johnson's a little bit better than Green, but I mean, Bobby was slamming the table for Kenyon Green, being like, this is a top 10 graded player, and has really just struggled. And it sometimes takes these guys like 2 to 3 years to really find it. And the Giants really aren't in a position of sitting and waiting for offensive linemen to struggle and find it. So go out and sign that guy, that veteran, or even a younger guy that is a veteran that can do it. Go big game hunting for a guard this offseason.
Yeah, in regard to the rookies struggling, I think it's just one of those things you got to remember is that college's job is to win. It's not to develop players. So players come in underdeveloped, and it's a shifting league, and I think that the restrictions that have been placed on defenders to play the game have made them become the more dynamic side of the ball. Like, the defensive tackles and the edges that we see are just crazy. I don't know. I think it's just forced an adaptation there where offensive linemen now are suddenly behind the curve and college is not helping them adapt. And yeah, I don't know. The ones that have time to learn.
So Danny, where was you at interior offensive line / right guard? Where on your list?
I had it at 2.
You had it at 2. So who's your number? What's your number 1?
Finding someone to move Deonte Banks off cornerback 1.
That is also my number 1. So I have cornerback / cornerback 1 as my number 1. And like my perfect world is DJ Reed. And I understand, again, that's a lot of NFL teams' perfect world. Same thing with Trey Smith. Trey Smith and DJ Reed, sure, they're going to be high suitors for that, but I think cornerback 1 is essential, and I want that to be a veteran. I'm done drafting these guys now. Travis Hunter is a different story, but I go out and get big game in free agency for me.
Yeah, no, if the Giants end up doing the Stafford trade and Travis Hunter's there at 3, I guess maybe Travis Hunter I would want if maybe Abdul Carter isn't there, because I kind of like Abdul Carter, but Travis Hunter's like a generational talent, so I'm not making that prediction right now. But yeah, I just want Deonte Banks just hasn't shown that he can be a number 1 corner in the NFL. It sucks that once again we're talking about another big Joe Shane draft pick just falling by the wayside again. But I mean, he could. I still think he has a role on this team. I just think if you take more some stuff off his plate, maybe he's not too much in his own head. And like you said, he just can't match up with Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, guys like that. So yeah, I'd be fine with DJ Reed. I know you said, the Giants cap space is pretty good in 2025. I don't know how much we care about Spot Rack, but they gave him a 14.7 annual salary over 4 years. So I would prioritize my big money to get the big name corner. And then obviously I would spend some money on guard, but my priority.
DJ Reed is going to get more than $15 million.
That's just what Spot Rack's giving me. I'm just reading
per
the stats
year
around here.
Maybe not, because Jalen Johnson gets 19. Jalen Johnson gets 19 a year.
Yeah, they're saying 4 years, 58 mil with the 14.6
Jerry Sneed gets 19.1.
Salary.
There's some of these cornerback contracts where these teams are getting an absolute steal.
Well, maybe the Giants are gonna maybe this is a little bit of a year where that cornerback market gets a nice little pay raise. But yeah, and I think because Drew Phillips, he's shown he has promise. I think if you had a quality number 1 corner, you at least have a secondary that like teams like can't just like bully Deonte Banks off of.
Yeah, Grump, where's outside corner for you? You had a right guard as number 1, so where's the cornerback for you?
3.
Okay.
Yeah, it was number 3. I'm hyper specific here. So my number 2 is the offensive tackle depth. I don't need to belabor that. But in regards to the cornerback position thing, I agree with everything you guys say. I'm famously not a fan of drafting corners. I am big time into the known quantity of the free agency, and big game hunting I think is needed, because you don't just need a corner to start opposite Deonte Banks. I think you need to take the pressure off of him. It's a high confidence position. Confidence seems to be a factor for him, at least a little bit. And I think that as a cornerback 2, he can kind of build his confidence and be a good cornerback 2 in this league alongside a counterpart.
Grump, have you ever looked into Banks's separation numbers?
No.
Like some of the next gen stuff?
Mm-mm.
Out of cornerbacks with 400 coverage snaps, Banks was 3rd in the NFL in average target separation. Banks was 8th in tight window rate when targeted. And I saw that. And I was like, that it doesn't shock me to see that he's good in that. It shocked me to see how high up he was ranked in those two things. And it kind of just goes back to the whole thing that we've been saying, at least on this show, and I'm interested to hear your perspective, Grump. We've just been talking about turn your head and play the damn ball for 2 years now.
Yeah, I don't have a ton of perspective on it, but I think I'm not totally surprised to learn that. I mean, those are shockingly high numbers,
Yeah.
right? But I'm not surprised to hear that he's in the upper, whatever, 10% or whatever. That wouldn't shock me, because didn't you guys do like a whole breakdown on how like statistically he was doing well all year? He just had like his mess ups were the same mess ups, and then there were like effort questions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So like that didn't really shock me. I think it's the confidence things, it's the effort things that are bigger problems for me. I've kind of felt okay about the athlete that's there. Um, and again, the turning your head and playing the ball. I mean, like if he just did that, I think a lot more people would be on, his I don't want to say on his side, but you know what I mean? I think they'd warm up to him more, because I think his numbers would be better. You'd actually
Yeah.
see better pass breakups. You'd see the picks, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
he's in position.
So where philosophically are you in terms of spending? You mentioned no, like again, I don't want to spend a high leverage draft pick on corner. I agree with you. I've said it as a joke before. I think 40% of your salary cap should just be invested in cornerbacks, because it just works. It just seems to work to pay these veterans that have been there, done that, and they've had success in the NFL. It just seems to work for a lot of NFL teams, and it's also seemed to work for the Giants too, for the most part over the last couple of years, for the guys that they've brought in.
This is the position where I like to spend money.
Yeah.
I like to do exactly this setup, Joe, though not necessarily in this order. Like I like to have my known quantity guy. I like to have a first round pick, you know, late first round pick, like Deonte Banks is in that 20 range down to like, really high second round is what you're looking for in terms of your spending, but you draft where you draft, right? So having a talent level that's like not expected to be the world, he doesn't have the pressures of being a top 15. That guy playing across from a high budget guy, you get the balance of you get similar level talent, and then you get the contract balances out because they're on a rookie pay scale.
And then the other thing I would like about that is I feel like you added like that number one type of guy. I feel like the secondary just lacked like a real leader like last year. Like all those
Yes.
guys are so young. And I'm not saying this guy has to come in and like instantly like be leader, like basically take control of everything, but like just having someone like that can like really help this young group just develop. And the one thing for Deontay Banks, I know we're crapping on a little bit here and there. He turns 24 next month. So I mean he's not like this old head that's like gonna be washed out of the league. There's still time for this guy to show something to this organization. And not even just a tryout for this year. It's a tryout for, I hate trying to say that Brian Daboll, Joe Shea won't have a job next year, but he could be trying out for the next regime coming in. So yeah, that's why you just got to prioritize.
I mean, it's the
cornerback
same thing
one.
with Flott too, which is crazy that Flott's 23 and a half. He's going to turn 24 in August.
It was
Yeah.
one of the things I liked about him the most, is that he was super raw, but he was really, really young. So
The only thing that sucks about Joe Shane, at least early on, it's gotten a lot more even as the last two draft classes have gone, at least, right? That's the thing about drafting so many young guys throughout the 2022 draft classes. Now we've blinked and their rookie contracts are up, but they're still 23 and 24. And it's like,
Yeah,
all right,
it's
well,
like,
they're not that good, but you got to pay them. And odds are it's just better to draft their replacements rather than pay them whatever money they may want. But I like Flott. But Flott should be like not going in as a starter, and we shouldn't be going through training camp being like, oh, well, he sucks in training camp again. No, I want to not care about Cordell Flott's training camp next year, because I want him to be the second string in the first corner coming off the bench, especially on the outside. As Dalton Feely is calling me, as I'm now hoping this isn't for news.
yeah,
Did any news break.
I agree with you about Cordell Flott, but I don't think. I mean, I disagree with the sentiment that they're probably better off drafting his replacement. I mean, like, being that he's done basically nothing in this league, how much could he possibly cost? And you have the leverage in your hand to keep it a short contract, because you could swing it to him as, look, this is a 1-year prove it deal. You're only going to be 24 and a half at the end of next year, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, if you deliver this year, then go ahead, hit the open market. You know what I mean? We're giving you that freedom. So I think that he could possibly cost almost nothing at all. And I'd rather use those draft picks for people, that I'm not halfway given up
Yeah.
on already.
All right, so we all have our number ones out there, I believe. Where
Yes.
Grump, you're right guard. I'm cornerback. Danny, you're also cornerback. So number 2 for me, I went interior defensive line. It is so crazy how we went from such a position of strength where we were at one point not too long ago saying we have too many interior defensive linemen, where it was like a good problem to have. And now there's just nothing outside of Dexter Lawrence. And this is 2 defensive coordinators now where they have a history and a pedigree of coming in and stopping the run. And their defenses can't stop the run. Now, I think that the cornerbacks are a huge part of that. Maybe arguably even bigger than second interior defensive linemen. About cornerbacks, coming in here, they just don't want to stop the run. They can't stop the run. They're not interested in it. So then teams attack that, and teams do that. And Dex, I'm sure, Dex and Bobby Okereke and Micah McFadden maybe do cover up some of the weaknesses of interior defensive line, even though Nacho and Ashawn Robinson aren't slouches by any means as run stoppers, but still, take the front more seriously. Take the depth more seriously. If Dexter Lawrence is going to last as a New York Football Giant, continue to last through the entirety of his contract, he cannot be having so many seasons and so many games where he's playing 80% of the snaps. Got to bring it down a little bit. You got to get better depth, especially maybe even a guy that can rush the passer, for crying out loud. So I have interior defensive lineman as number 2, and how I would attack it is through the draft. Now, this is typically a position that takes time, but I think the payoff is worth it. Travis Jones, I feel like, is a great example from the University of Connecticut a couple years ago, where, if you listen to this pod a couple years ago, you heard, I think I mocked him to the Giants in the second round. Now, for 2 years, looked like not a good draft pick. And now as year 3 kicks in, as year 4 kicks in, that's what a lot of these interior defensive linemen kind of evolve. And you see Dexter Lawrence even went through that same trajectory. A good player turned into elite player. And I think that's kind of the case for some of these interior defensive linemen. So that is a position that I would like to draft. You play them early on, you see what you got, but you kind of bank on year 3. That's the year where it clicks for a lot of these guys, whether they're run stoppers or whether you even expect some of them to get after the quarterback. Interior defensive lineman is number 2 for me. I fall in love with guys every single year in the draft, and we haven't taken them, and I would like to change that this year.
That's number 4 for me. So it's pretty high up there when you consider I'm breaking down the offensive line into multiple different spots there. And I agree with you entirely. I think that you protect your strengths. And when you extend players like Andrew Thomas, when you extend players like Dexter Lawrence, the first thing you have to do is protect those investments. You know what I mean? And for both of those things is depth. Like, someone to where you're not afraid to let them take plays off. For Andrew Thomas, if he's got a bum, left tackle, it's a little hard to say take plays off, but forcing to finish a game through injury because your backup situation is Josh Azudu is just an unacceptable position to be in. It's just unacceptable. Or whatever, moving Jermaine Illuminor from one side to the next, you're shuffling around your whole offensive line just because, your left tackle's shaken up. He'll be fine next week, but the ability to just heal naturally and take plays off as needed. For defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence, not playing 99% of snaps. So I would attack this twofold. I would draft exactly as you said, and I'd also add a veteran there. I think that they really need to double dip here. They should be protecting those investments.
Danny, are we going to see a BJ Hill reunion?
Oh, I've been dreaming about it. I can't lie to you. That's been like my number one, not like number one, but like it's up there with like, man, if we could re-sign BJ Hill, that would be fantastic. Giants rookie sack leader. Oh no, he's not anymore. That's tragic. But anyway, yeah, I'm of the mindset I would like to take this guy, particularly in the second round, is where I would like to draft. Of this position, my first round pick. It's either going to be quarterback or Travis Hunter's there. I would love that. That's my dream scenario. Mainly Travis Hunter. But Yeah, like Grump made all the points. You invest in Dexter Lawrence. How about you invest in his long-term future as well for this team and get him a quality backup that is not just some like I don't need to see Jordan Riley playing football on my team anymore. That's just quite simple as that. I saw the depth chart as it has right now. Jordan Riley is just chilling there, and I'm like, no, I'm not feeling that. I would like someone a little more competent, and I would even if they don't want to draft in the second round, I would take signing someone in free agency. Uh, like BJ Hill would be great, but BJ Hill's obviously probably gonna get paid somewhere. There's plenty of options out there in free agency that you can invest. I just had like a major flashback because I saw Jonathan Hankins is on this list. I didn't even know Jonathan Hankins could be an option. That'd be kind of fun. But I'm just daydreaming reunions right now. But yeah, just prioritize Dexter Lawrence's long term future with the team and let him have a damn break. He deserves some rest in between games.
Linval Joseph at 45 years old is still playing football.
I think that's the option. We just got to sign an old giant.
Yeah, I love some of these interior defensive linemen. I think I'm going to love even more of them the more that I get into them. Grump, I mean, Darius Alexander was such a fun watch to watch down in Mobile. TJ Sanders too, Deion Walker or more Norman Lott. And I would say that even though there's guys like Jamari Caldwell and Cam Jackson that fit more of the nose tackle, like really like run stopping threat, I would even like to get a guy that's a little bit smaller, maybe a 3-tech, maybe a 5-tech, Aeneas Peebles down in Mobile. And all these guys are just spread out from top 100 guys to guys that we're talking that are, Cam Jackson's even down at like 188. In terms of consensus board ranking right now, that will change. So I am all for this position, whether it's round 2. I mean, take multiple of them. I love it. So Danny, where does it rank for you? Interior defensive lineman. Is it in your top 5? 4th. All right, so we are missing your 3rd. Did you say your 3rd yet?
I have not.
Oh. Whoa, hey there, Justin. Hold up. Let's talk about something, because before we keep going with the Giants' positional needs, we got to talk about SeatGeek. The MLB season is just around the corner. Basketball and hockey seasons are also heating up, and Morgan Wallen, Kendrick Lamar, and The Weeknd are on tour. They're not like us. And with our partners at SeatGeek, you can now get 10% off any tickets with our code GIANTS2025. With over 28 million downloads, that's a lot. SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app in the world. There are more than 70,000 events listed on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and more, including NASCAR. Go to NASCAR. Right now you can get tickets to baseball games, NBA, NHL, not to mention, of course, tons of concerts and other events. And good news for you, each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so you know if you're getting a good deal. Just look for the green dots, because green, yeah, it means good, and red, it means bad. And we came through for you guys. You can use code GIANTS2025 for 10% off your next set of tickets at SeatGeek. That's 10% off any tickets with promo code GIANTS2025. You will be glad you did. Now back to the show. All right, so Danny, you haven't said your 3rd yet. What's your 3rd?
I love Malik Neighbors. I would like to compliment him with someone next to him. Because if it is Darius Slayton, I would go to Darius Slayton out, because I do enjoy me some Darius Slayton. But because Jalen Hyatt, you want to talk about another draft pick that's not working out? Jalen Hyatt, it seems like he's not the answer for this franchise.
I think you had more catches this year than him, Danny.
Yeah, I might, honestly, at this point. So I would like to prioritize wide receiver 2, because you have Malik Neighbors. He's proven himself. Wan'Dale Robinson, Daniel Jones' safety. I know Daniel's not on his team, but that was his favorite player for the entire season, it felt like, just with those short passes. But yeah, I would like to compliment wide receiver number 2. I'm not saying you have to go out there and get T. Higgins. I don't think T. Higgins is a realistic option for this team, because I think T. Higgins wants to win, and the Giants are not going to be winning for at least another few years, probably. So I'm down just to go out there and get someone competent. I'm not looking for some no name bum. So I mean, there's a part of me that kind of thinks it is just going to be Darius Slayton again, even though I don't know what his relationship is with Dayball and Shane, and I also don't know what this guy's relationship is like with this current regime. I mean, Stephon Diggs might be a little cheap because he's coming off a bad an ACL. What ACL? Was that what he was?
Yeah, bad. Something. I think he might have done his Achilles.
Oh, he might have done his Achilles. Oh, well, maybe you don't want to do a wide receiver on a bad Achilles. I'll look that up in a second. But just get someone to complement Neighbors and make it so that you have three quality options. You got Wandale on the slot, Neighbors cooking dudes outside, and then you got that second option. There are guys out there. There's Keenan Allen, Amari Cooper, Chris Godwin, Brandon Cooks, not Deontay Johnson. You got Marquise Brown, dare say, like I said, there are options out there that you could supplement to this offense and give whoever the hell is throwing the football a quality wide receiver trio.
Yeah, it's a weird offseason to be a wide receiver because you have the veterans like you said, but then they're like Darius Slayton. In terms of young guys that you're thinking about, maybe want to give a little money to, Darius Slayton is kind of that guy. So Grump, I think wide receiver 2 is one of the more fascinating positions to analyze and talk about on this team because I don't think Darius Slayton's going to be back. So then where does that leave the room when it comes to philosophically, how would you want to attack it, especially knowing that it's a very, very young room without Darius Slayton?
Yeah, I think that leaves him in a garbage position. This is my number 5 area of concern. And I have it as like, I would attack this as free agent or draft. For starters, kind of take the draft where it falls. I'm not going to say no to a wide receiver solution in the draft if it falls to me at a certain point, given the round and the talent. But ideally, I think that the 2 rooms that need veteran leadership the most are without a doubt the secondary, which we already covered, and the wide receiver room. I mean, it is not a secret, I don't think, how much that leadership presence was already lacking on this team and then completely, totally missing when Saquon Barkley left. If Darius Slayton leaves, then there will be no lasting leadership presence, and they need something there. I had suspected that Darius Slayton's relationship with this front office and staff was not the greatest, but it sucks to see him go. I really think that he is a strong leader voice in there. I think he is a good wide receiver. He just might be out of their price range too. Given the market what it is, right?
Yeah.
Diggs was ACL, by the way. Just wanted to.
Diggs was ACL. Okay.
Yeah, but it was week 8, so I don't know what timeline recovery would be like for him.
Yeah, but even like the Giants, I would be shocked if they're in on Keenan Allen, Godwin.
Those are just
like,
names. Those are just names. I was just
Amari Cooper. No, especially coming off of not doing it. It's a weird offseason to need a secondary wide receiver. Obviously there's going to be teams that are going to big game hunt for T. Higgins. The Giants will not be one of them. But even drafting, there's wide receivers that just grow on trees in the NFL draft now.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily fix the problem that is who is going to be the leader in that room. Now, Malik Neighbors can be just by an example, but also at the same time, do you want Malik Neighbors being the leader? So it's tough, man. I don't have an answer right now. The only answer that I have is Matthew Stafford is traded to the New York Giants. Cooper Kupp is released from the Rams, and the Giants sign Cooper Kupp. That's the only answer I have in terms of leadership.
I would do the Cooper Kupp route if that's what it takes.
But I don't even love that. I don't even love it.
I mean, yes and no, but there's a part I'll say that conversation for when we get.
Because I just don't know where he fits. I just don't know where he fits.
The thing that sucks is Darius Slayton, like Grum said, his relationship doesn't seem like it was the best, but he enjoyed being here, and you're going to lose it. I understand he might get paid a lot of money, and good on him for getting that money, but it just sucks losing someone that just clearly was I don't want to. I feel like he wanted to be here. He wanted to be a Giant for as long as he can, and it just didn't work out.
I think it's getting close. It's not as bad. It's getting close to an Evan Ingram where a divorce is best. Let's not stay together for the kids. A divorce is honestly best here. Where even though definitely not for Darius Slayton's career, it is better for the Giants if he does stay here. But I think that would be continuing to force a marriage that has already been rocky and it somehow continues to get rockier. I mean, especially with the way Darius Slayton has to feel a certain type of way of how they treated Daniel Jones, and even though it's good business, that's his dude, that's his guy. They benched a quarterback when that quarterback was the best option that they had at the time, and that's the reality of the situation. Even if it was good business. So I've been saying this all along. For Darius Slayton's sake, I think he should want to go elsewhere. And I think he will get that money elsewhere. I do think he will.
100%.
If I had to guess, that's what I'd say is going to happen. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not that, I mean, Bobby's really like, he pushes that button of, 3 for 39, 3 for 39. Let's get him back. And I'm with him, but if I'm Darius Slayton, I can't, like, don't do this. Like, what is this team doing good for you? Nothing.
Okay. If they don't do the re-sign Darius Slay route, I'm down to be honest, just to draft wide. I know I was saying the whole leadership thing, but like I'm down to draft wide.
It creates
you said, they grow on trees.
But there is also, you would hope that Malik Neighbors continues to learn the playbook by year 2, but that is a conversation of Slayton was the guy that would tell everybody where to line up, and he was the longest tenured tied. At least skill position. We'll go skill position. Skill position wise, he's the longest tenured Giant. All 3 years under Brian Dable. So who's going to be that guy to come in? And again, I don't want to put this expectation on Malik Neighbors that he's not going to know where to line up by year 2. Hopefully he gets that figured out. But who's going to be that guy that's going to lead that room?
I mean, honestly, Robert, maybe it's Wan'Dale Robinson. Maybe Wan'Dale Robinson this offseason looks at it.
I don't think so.
Whoa, hey.
Would you ever listen to somebody who's 5'9"?
I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. Let us short kings live, all right?
I certainly don't listen to Snacks.
That's a different story because that's Snacks. No one, like, he's freaking out because the Yankees can shave their beards now. Like,
George in his grave. All right, so I have wide receiver 2 as my number 4, ironically enough. So, Danny, you have it as number 3. I have it as number 4. Grump, you have it as your number 5. So, Grump, your list is done. You have revealed it all.
Yep. Well, I mean, I went beyond that, but that's okay.
You have revealed right guard as number 1. Offensive tackle depth is number 2. Cornerback is number 3. Interior D-line is number 4. And wide receiver 2 is number 5. Danny, so far you have cornerback 1, right guard 2, wide receiver 2, 3, interior defensive line 4. I have cornerback 1, interior defensive line 2, right guard 3, wide receiver 2, 4. And coming at number 5, I do have offensive line depth, and I will say a swing tackle, offensive tackle. So Danny, where does that rank for you, or is it even on your list? What is your number 5?
My number 5. I mean, maybe you could say it's like not no, because it is like I'm looking for the Giants to supplement behind Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau. It's not going to be Aziz, and quite frankly, I don't want it to be Aziz. I like Aziz as a player, but Aziz has just, besides 1 year, really has struggled to stay healthy, and so I'm kind of just not. I'm not feeling that sign, and this is I'm all on draft.
Okay.
Basically, my round 2 in my mind, like in this tiny little brain I have up here, is basically rounds 2 and 3. In all honesty, is defense. Honestly, if they want to go round 1 Travis Hunter, then rounds 2 and 3 interior and outside, I'm down for that. I just. Depth is lacking everywhere on this team, and behind Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau, it is just as lacking when you go look at us. Like we said, Aziz is gone. I could even tell you Armand Watts. I don't even know who that guy is, and he's a free agent. I don't care about him. So get me depth behind those 2 guys, and because I know the whole debate whether we pick up Kayvon Thibodeau's 5th-year option, yada yada yada. I don't care about that, but just supplement this roster. There's depth lacks everywhere. It is miraculous that this team has nothing behind so many of their key players.
Grump, where are you with Edge?
I have it as 7th, kind of flirting with moving it to 6. My 6 and 7 are really close. I agree with him. I've nothing really else to add. Shane Bowen whether you like him or not, had achieved this team leading the league in sacks for quite a number of weeks. A lot of that had to do with Dexter Lawrence. I don't really care who you want to give the credit to, but the fact is that what is currently starting on the roster somehow was able to achieve that, but that is clearly not good enough. I've already talked about defensive tackle. If you can throw in someone to rotate with Thibodeau and Burns that can produce, then I think you have at least the bare bones for Shane Bowen's defense to maybe do something.
It doesn't crack my top 5, but I love talking about the third edge rusher, or even just, whether you go out and you get multiple guys or you draft a guy, whatever. The Giants need to add an edge rusher this offseason that can stop the run. That can stop the run and set an edge. We're on early downs. Maybe you're taking one of Brian Burns and Kayvon Thibodeau off the field. There's nothing wrong with giving them a rest and then having them refreshed on passing down so they can go out there and they can wreak havoc, or even getting them off the field so then they can go, hey, like they're going to hunt for tackles for loss. That's what they're going to do. And it's, and that's great, but they do not set a consistent edge, and I would not call them plus run defenders. Get an edge rusher in here that can stop the run. It is a personnel issue.
Yeah, there is a Jihad Ward sized hole on this roster.
Yeah.
Bring me Jihad Ward. I do. Let me stop.
No, I don't want him back specifically.
I'm joking.
I don't want him back specifically. Maybe somebody a little bit better of a run stopper than Jihad Ward. I think that's worth it. So the last position. So I have offensive tackle depth as my number 5, and then Grump, you have it number 2. So philosophically, how are you attacking that? I'm guessing that's via free agency, right?
No, this is draft for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is because for me, you're kind of going swing tackle here. I think you can kind of do some mid-round hunting. I know a lot of people have strong opinions on where you take a tackle in the draft and what's useless and what's not, but I don't have those opinions. I think that there are swing tackle capable guys that are overlooked all the time in the draft because they don't have the perfect measurements or this, that, and the other thing, and they end up being perfectly capable. In fact, lots of offensive linemen are drafted all over the place, and I'm not taking this guy to be a starting left tackle on this team, for 17 weeks. I'm taking somebody who can fill in for a couple of games and actually plays tackle. You know what I mean? Josh Azuda's a guard. I don't really know. I don't know. I'm trying to also look towards the fact that if you can get somebody high enough up with Carmen Brasillo here, give him a year to learn, maybe you don't have to re-sign Jermaine Illuminator. You know what I mean? Maybe this guy's your right guard of the future if you're able to grab somebody in the second round or something like that. I'm open to solutions here. But if I'm aiming for it, I would like it to be in the draft, but it's such a huge position of need. I'll take the free agency solution as long as it's coming fairly cheap. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, I love it. Danny, your top 5. Recap one more time. Cornerback, right guard, wide receiver 2, interior defensive line, and edge. Me, cornerback, interior D-line, right guard, wide receiver 2, and swing tackle. Grump, you have right guard, offensive tackle depth / swing tackle, cornerback 3rd, interior D-line, and wide receiver 2. All right. Now, running a little long, but guess what? I don't care. Because I've done more thinking, more reading on just what everybody wants to talk about, and I don't think people should be tired of it, because I honestly think it's news, and I think it's a situation that's continuing to evolve, and I think it's a real thing. But I think the longer that this goes, maybe the less likely it happens for the New York Giants, and that is Matthew Stafford.
Oh, I thought this was an ad read.
No, this is not an ad read. I'm going to do the SeatGeek ad read after. Not an ad read. So, Jason Fitzgerald of Over the Cap put out an article today talking about the complexities of what a new contract could look like for Matthew Stafford. Peter Schrager put out the report that Matthew Stafford is basically looking for $50 million average annual value. He's getting $40 million right now. Now, I think 50 makes sense. And I saw a lot of people today be like, "Oh no, I'm out now. I can't pay him 50." I mean, Kyler Murray and Deshaun Watson are getting $46 million. Jalen Hurts, Lamar Jackson, and Jared Goff are just getting north of $50 million. Jared Goff gets $53 million. I mean, if I'm Matthew Stafford, I'm looking at the Rams being like, I won you a Super Bowl. You traded away Jared Goff for me. If you don't want to pay me at least close to what he's getting, if not the same amount, you got to be crazy. And I will go elsewhere, and I will explore that. Now, the complex thing about this whole Matthew Stafford contract, and I'm going to go on a little bit of a Bobby Skinner rant here, because this is the reading that I've done today and the quote-unquote new information that came out. So, back in 2022, that's where Stafford agreed to this contract. And it was really before the big boom of all these quarterbacks getting these deals, right? Goff, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, there was a run on these mid-ish quarterbacks that are getting now over $50 million, and Dak reset the market at $60 million, so he's another kind of mid-ish quarterback. He just played his leverage really well. So the thing with Stafford, if he wants around $50 million a year, currently every quarterback with a $50 million a year contract has at least $160 million guaranteed on their deals. Currently, Stafford has $63 million remaining on his current contract. So at a minimum, that would mean the Rams or another team like the Raiders, the Steelers, the Giants, that would mean a team would have to be committing an extra $40 million for him to be the quarterback, which odds are it would take you until he's 39 years old, and then possibly being able to walk when he's 40. And if it's a top guarantee, it would mean that he is there on your team until he's 41 years old. So really, I still think that there's a chance, fellas, that this could happen for the Giants. But it seems like this contract would have to be, like, I'm talking void years, adding it on, like not a very, very smart contract. You're adding way more guaranteed money onto the contract than basically what is on there already right now. Talking about that AAV getting from 40 to over 50 or around 50. It makes the most sense for Matthew Stafford to just stay with the Rams, and the Rams give him a slight pay raise this year and a pay raise that makes everybody happy. That is the easiest solution to this, but I still do think that the Rams may just put their foot in the ground and say, we're not doing that. Grump?
I think that would be very stupid of them, but I think that you're right. I think it's silly to close the door on this and say it's an impossibility, because I still think it's a possibility. I think that there is a way that they could even do it where I wouldn't hate it, but my opinion doesn't really matter. I do think that I think that it's an avenue that they might take, and I think it's something they could do, but it's going to suck. Like, I agree with you. I don't think that the contract is going to be something that's going to be well received when people see it.
The number is going to scare people if it does happen.
And I agree with you about the 50 million from his perspective. It's you said it. The market reset, and he won them a Super Bowl.
Yeah. But if you're also Stafford's team, when they agreed to it, I guess he kind of was a victim of the circumstance of, in 2022, $40 million may have been the going rate back then. But then you just blink, and 2 years later, and he's 16th. He's like the 15th, 16th highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and Matthew Stafford shouldn't be the 15th or 16th. So it's very rare. Like, we're entering into unprecedented territory of Matthew Stafford isn't necessarily looking for an extension. He's looking for the current contract to kind of be torn up in a way and just get paid more money now. And this was something that they tried to figure out last year, but they only came to an agreement on like $5 million. But that $5 million was taken from like 2025.
Right. It was like borrowed from advance. It was.
Yeah.
And
yes.
people, whoever I was reading kind of was saying, like, when you do that, it's like it's kind of showing that it's the end of negotiations.
It's a Band-Aid. It's a Band-Aid solution to a larger problem of the player wants more money and the team doesn't really want to give it. So I think that's why this is taking so much time, and people may either forget about it or, they all move on. This is just a rumor. No, I think it's real. And I think that the Raiders' interest is real. I think the Giants' interest is real. And we even got confirmation that the Giants did call the Rams during the trade deadline this year. And I know NYG Daily has tweeted out and said that it was the Rams-Vikings game this year that was the turning point. If the Rams were going to lose to the Vikings, then I think the Rams were going to explore a Stafford trade. And then if they won, which they did beat the Vikings in the regular season, then they were going to keep the status quo. So I don't know. I think the interest is real, but this may just take time, and it may get figured out during the combine when all the agents are gonna talk with whoever they need to talk to. And Kevin Abrams, get to work, buddy.
Oh Jesus! Like honestly, interest is real, but I mean, talk me off the edge. Maybe I'm just like, there's no reason for me to be going this in depth. Just look at recent history. Trading for these veterans hasn't worked.
Yeah.
That's
also the thing.
Russell Wilson got traded to Denver, and he sucked. And he was a competent quarterback in Seattle. Aaron Rodgers gets traded from Green Bay to New York. I don't expect Matt Stafford to get injured, but he also then sucked as well.
No, you can't ignore that these guys have fallen off or just aren't good. You can't ignore it. You're right.
It's a miraculous fall off, and for a team that is so in the gutter, and obviously, I think it's the worst. Obviously, they need a quarterback. It's on the roster, but beyond that, Joe Shane and Brian Daboll need a quarterback to save their NFL jobs right now.
Right.
And there's a report today that they're apparently all in on Shedeur Sanders. It was Jordan.
They've been all in.
But not you see it in writing, yada yada. Whether you believe that or not, it feels like it's gonna be Sanders if he is there at free. But when you saw that dap up him and Daboll had, I was like, I'm sold. He's our franchise quarterback. But yeah, it feels like it's because what they trade Matthew Stafford for the Rams. They're going to sign the rumor is maybe they would go for Aaron Rodgers. That is what Sean McVay is going to pass on a God knows what type of TV contract to coach Aaron Rodgers. The reunion makes too much sense there, but it's like your two friends that are just you want them to get into a relationship, but they're like, no, why would I do that? It's like, just sign the contract, come to an agreement because it is best for both parties. Matthew Stafford and his wife, they don't want to leave LA.
They like it. They like Southern California. That's why also the Raiders is a 55-minute plane ride. It's a 3-hour drive.
Yeah,
That's why that may make more sense, but I don't know, man. We'll see. And from the Giants' standpoint, I think of it from a very morbid perspective. And this is my perspective. My perspective is, if they're going to get fired, if Shane and Daboll are going to get fired, which I think they're going to, because I don't think any of this is going to work.
No.
Forget the quarterback position. I don't think that Joe Shane is worthy of keeping this job because I don't think he drafts well. It's the same point that we've been saying all year long, right? So I still believe that. I would rather eat money as a franchise and have to deal with dead money, have to deal with whatever for 1 or 2 years versus drafting a quarterback with the 3rd overall pick, having a new regime come in here, and we're doing this whole Daniel Jones song and dance all over again, being like, well, what do we have in the kid? We got to play him for a year, and we got to do this because the Arizona Cardinals situation just doesn't happen. That is not real life. I highly doubt that a new regime is going to come in here and just trade away Shedeur Sanders from the start. And even if they trade away Shedeur Sanders, you're not going to get the same value back from what he was drafted to be with pick number 3. Take a stud, hopefully, a stud in this year's draft at pick number 3, or you trade back. You have Matthew Stafford. It may not work. And then you have to eat money. And you get to still have your draft capital. And I also don't think, by the way, that the Giants would give up their 1st or 2nd this year for Matthew Stafford. So I don't think the draft compensation that they would be giving up would be like gut wrenching that it would take them out for years.
If they do the trade, if they trade a first or a second for Stafford, like I'll call.
Oh yeah, then it's a very different story. Then it's just bad.
I wonder. Like last thing I'll say, I just want to know how they pitch this to John Mara. How are they pitching this vision right now, John Mara? Like John, he's 37,
and that's what Dunleavy said. Dunleavy's like, I think that part of Mara and Shane's pitch to save their jobs was Shedeur Sanders, and now there's this pivot of Matthew Stafford. So we'll see. We'll see how it evolves, and maybe we'll try and take a break from talking about it for a little while. But I did want to bring up the whole contract and the money and exactly how that's working, because I've been thinking about it, and the more that I'm thinking about it, the more that it just simply makes sense for the Rams and him to just come with some sort of agreement on a pay raise versus adding basically $40 million more guaranteed money without extending him by like 3 years. Because he already has 2 years left on his deal. So you're adding more money to a current deal that already has 2 years left on it without fully extending him. So it's a mess for whatever team is going to do it, and it's going to be a number that will scare people. Bobby Skinner's wedding. The show is over. How was it?
Show's over. It was good. I thought everything about it was good. The view of the Atlantic Ocean, superb, might I say. I didn't know what the view was going to be like. It surpassed my expectations. I don't know exactly what you call what I don't want to say like a sermon, because it wasn't a sermon, but I thought the
ceremony. Oh, you mean the guy?
Yeah, the guy.
The officiator, right?
The officiator. First off, he did that thing in both English and Spanish. That guy killed his job. And
you want to know? Not to interrupt you, but we were talking before the wedding started, before the ceremony started. Like, what member from Giants Twitter would, like, who do we think is like an ordained minister, and like would be licensed for this? And we're like, oh well, maybe like Snacks would kill it because he's just a showman and everything that he does. And then I'm also thinking, like, imagine like license plate guys like flowing blonde hair on the beach, marrying them. We joked about Cobb Pizzle, how he would do a great job.
Right. Yeah.
But then they come out speaking English and Spanish, and I don't know. Ruben. Oh my God, I found it.
Ruben.
It would be Ruben. Would be Ruben. We just figured it out.
It would be Ruben. Ruben would do Ruben. All right. My wedding when I do it in English and Spanish. Yeah, Ruben. Ruben, you gotta get your certificate, buddy.
And the best thing was he did that in under 45 minutes, both English and Spanish. I thought we could have been there for an hour. Him do both those things
easily.
It was nice.
Yeah,
it was nice.
That part was great.
Danny, you got a Tesla?
Yeah, horrible decision.
Explain that to me.
All right, so I was like, I need to book a car because I was like, I'm flying into Orlando. It's like an hour to get out to where the actual ceremony was going to be. So I was like, I need a car. So I went on the Delta app, and I was like, all right, I'll just book it through Delta because it'll make my life simple. I log on. The first option that popped up, it was a Tesla, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do it. I was like, I've been in a bunch of rental cars recently because my car got broken into, so I was in a rental car, not a nice one. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna splurge a little bit. I have hand to God, never have driven a Tesla before. I told Justin I've driven a Tesla once or twice. That was a lie, just so Justin didn't think.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I've never driven a Tesla before. That was my first time driving a Tesla. I was like, I'm not trying to make Justin.
I mean,
have
it's
a heart
car.
Attack.
It's not like
it's
driving.
a car.
It kind of does feel like you're driving a spaceship, though.
Yeah, it does. Like, because like there's no engine. You tap the brake, it will respond instantaneously, which is not something that
it just doesn't make noise. Which at certain points, like we would get in the car early in the morning, I'm like, this thing not making noise kind of bothers me. There is an awkward silence.
Yeah, and you are also able to get up high on like it just like the pickup is unreal. Yeah. I thought it was over for me and Justin last night. Because by the way, Grum can attest to this, and so could Justin. In Florida, they will pull you over. I feel like just out of thin air.
Oh, they're looking for it.
They like it's insane. Like everyone's getting pulled over every 5 seconds. All the way back, there was this cop that was just sitting there, just fiending for something. Luckily, he could have pulled us over or me over if he wanted to, because apparently you can't go above 40 on any Florida road.
My brother-in-law is a Tesla, so the first time I went in one, he was like, "Yeah, it's crazy. The pickup on it's insane." And we're like on a residential road, and he just like he hit like 55 like very quickly, which is real scary in a residential area.
It was also good for capping. Me and Justin pulled up in style.
Oh my gosh, I was like, we are gonna like I just felt like we pulling up in Orlando alone in that. I felt like we won the weekend. I danced to "Man, I Feel Like a Woman" and I stole the evening. I kind of feel bad about it, but I don't regret it in a way.
I believe that was recorded.
It was recorded by multiple people, multiple places. Bobby's wife texted me today with the video and said that you have that's somebody that has a crush on you. Film this. I'm gonna be honest. I saw the woman that was filming me.
Oh no.
And I'm like, I saw the perspective of the video, and then I also saw that somebody was filming me. Pretty sure it's Bobby Skinner's mom. So Bobby and I are gonna have to have a discussion on that.
Can we talk? This is part because I didn't know they do this in weddings. I haven't been to a wedding in years. Like obviously the bride throws back the bouquet.
Yes.
And I guess they called up the single guys and shot me.
There were like 5 single men at that wedding.
At first it was just
not
me,
married men, not married men. I should say.
First it was just me, you, and Grub, and Grub's he's engaged, and also we're looking around, we're like, holy crap, where is like all you guys have someone?
Everybody is just married in that wedding, which was nuts.
It was crazy, and I mean, like I was like, hey, good on y'all. I can't right now imagine just even being in a relationship. I'm just trying to keep my job.
I saw Bobby Skinner cry. We all saw Bobby cry.
Yeah, that was when I enjoyed what his mom honestly gave the speech. He goes up there. She's like, "I'm not gonna cry." The moment she said that's what, like honestly, it was. She gave a great speech.
It was nice. It really was nice.
Like honestly, like I'm not expecting his mom to go out there and not cry. It was a very great speech.
Bobby tears were flowing out of him too.
Yeah, I mean, in the wedding when he asked the priest, I don't want to say priest, I don't know exactly what his title is, the officiator for the rings, and then he's like, "Wow, you're moving way too fast here, pal." Yeah. He's like, "Calm down." He was ready to put the ring on her finger.
Oh, so what was really nice too is that they did a time capsule.
Oh yeah,
and they wrote letters to each other and all that kind of stuff. And in 10 years, on their 10th wedding anniversary, they're gonna open it up. Puts a Talking Giants sticker in the fucking time capsule.
I think the funniest thing about that was that you kind of, as they were like, they moved to the side and they're doing that and they're pulling it all out of like a shopping bag, and you like leaned over to me and you were like, you go, "Oh, I have a card here. I was thinking really hard about putting it in that bag. Now I'm really glad I didn't."
In a way, I wish I did, because if that card somehow made it to the time capsule, like they're wondering where is the card that I like, oh, congratulations. They open it up 10 years later. That would have been nice. Because there was that bag, and I'm like, all right, and I have the card in my hand. I'm like, where do the cards go? And I was thinking about putting it in that bag, and I kind of wished I did, kind of glad I didn't. You'll be glad you did. What else? There was a cat at my Airbnb.
Oh yeah. Wait, before that, there also was a diss on the Giants in the middle of the wedding.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't. I could we everyone else is laughing, like the three of us and Crank, we all just put our heads down. We're like, are you kidding me?
And here's the context of it. The wedding officiant, I feel like we've given him 5 different titles. Basically says you're gonna have marital struggles. Like, no, there is no couple that's perfect. You're gonna disagree on the Giants out of all things to reference. Just referencing, the Giants may be a strain on your marriage, which, great warning. Great warning. I mean, they've lasted this long with the team being bad, so
I mean, we had the Stafford thing hanging over our heads.
If you can make it through the 100th season, I think you can make it through any season as a couple. So
that is true. But yes, to the cat. Well,
there was a cat at my Airbnb. I decided to have a nice little cigar on the patio of my single room Airbnb. You guys stayed at a hotel. I'm like, I am paying $180 for a sketchy single room of an Airbnb. The door was just
sketchy
open.
Was it?
It wasn't sketchy.
The doors were just open of the place.
Didn't know that.
I didn't feel like I was totally private, but you know what? I don't really care. What am I doing? You want to see my belly? I'll show you my belly. You want to see some other stuff? You're gonna have to pay. But yeah, there's this cat that was really friendly. I decided to smoke a cigar the day, because the wedding was in the afternoon. So I'm like, all right, let me go out and have a cigar. This cat, very friendly cat, rubbing itself on me. My legs immediately begin to itch, and I'm like, all right, this is a problem. I'm getting ready for the wedding. My right eye looks like I have pink eye. Like it is terrible. So Danny King and I, we go to Walgreens before the wedding. I take 2 Benadryl, and I think I wind up taking like another one. And by the time the end of the wedding came, I was Benadryl kooky. Like very, very kooky Benadryl me. I was a version of myself that he's fun, but he's also very tired. And that's that. But my pink eye went away thanks to Benadryl, but I was sneezing like a motherfucker.
And you were still feeling weird today, right?
I sneezed before we recorded today.
Grump,
but I feel fine.
What were your thoughts on that area of Florida? What were your thoughts?
I didn't have a lot of thoughts on it. We weren't really there that long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Landed pretty late on Saturday night. We went straight out, so we all went out for drinks. We all met up, said hi. That bar was pretty cool. That band kind of blew, but that's okay. It wasn't so bad.
That was El Jefe.
Yeah, no, it wasn't.
You say that right after I said they suck.
Yeah, that was kind of fun, and I don't know. I was just pretty much confined to the hotel for the majority of it. I had Zaxby's for lunch before the wedding. That was kind of cool.
Downtown Orlando was very fun.
We were on a Space Force base.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, like the space. It felt like their logo. I mean, it feels like that. I mean, I guess it was a Netflix show, but I was like, Space Force. It's just the funniest thing to me.
Said hi to Elon.
Yeah,
Elon.
I paid his bills a little bit this weekend.
Yeah, you did.
Not over the moon. I did that, but for the captain's sake, it was worth it. It was most definitely worth it in that scenario.
No, it was very nice, and everybody loved my Talking Giants tie.
Yep.
Mom got it for me. We don't sell it on the store. My mom got it.
101, baby. Bobby will wear it for
Bobby
Justin's
will wear
wedding.
it for my wedding.
That's that whether Bobby knows he's doing that is a question right now. But I mean, whether Justin uploads his photo or not, he took a photo of Bobby. It looked like Bobby was good. It
looks like Bobby was shitting his pants. It was before the wedding. Before the wedding. Yeah. He had a gold watch on. I'm like, ooh, put that away.
He was flexing on us.
Yeah,
I didn't even notice.
Yeah, it was awesome. Awesome watch.
Maybe I should get a TMZ exclusive on that watch.
Oh, yeah.
They did a thing I'd never seen before, the shoe game. That was kind of cool. I've never seen that.
Yeah, like that you have each partner's shoes in your hand. Like who's the most likely to, who's the more organized, and then each person has to like who represents that, and it's like how well do you know each other type of deal.
Yeah, it's kind of like a newlywed game kind of thing.
Yeah.
Wow, duh. The newlywed game. How about that?
Are you gonna do
learning things all right here?
That's the lack of sleep right there.
Are you gonna take that for your wedding? Did you like that enough?
It wasn't. I don't know. I don't have strong opinions on my wedding. I'm usually just being told what to do and saying yes or no, unless I'm seriously vetoing something. If she wants to do it, I'm down to it. Yeah.
Okay.
I thought it was cool.
They played the NFL on Fox theme. That was electric, by the way.
It was for the garter belt thing, which he tied around a football and then threw.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
you
God.
Imagine that.
He Jameis Winstoned everybody and went like 40 yards behind everyone.
He threw it like it was a shirt in Mr. Purple for the 2022 playoffs.
Yeah, it was. He hung that thing.
That's what I got. I got PTSD. Oh, not a good PTSD. I got a good flashback to Mr. Purple. Oh, take me back. We won a playoff game. Remember that? All right, that's an episode. We will see you on Thursday or Friday, depending on what's going on. You never know. Matthew Stafford may be traded. Matthew Stafford may not be traded. And the combine's this weekend, so enjoy the combine. And I can't wait for people to debate, this doesn't matter, this matters. It's the best part about the combine every single year. Just enjoy it. Underwear Olympics, Dave Gettleman. All right, that's an episode. We will see you next time. Until then, let's go Big Blue.